fire. You can't catch us now. Running, yeah.
All right.
Here we go. Okay. Quick update on what's going on in the show here. We're going to have some viewer comments.
Yes.
And then we're going to get to, some local politics. Actually, a little D.C. action. A New Mexico representative covering herself in glory in a way
As always.
It just is heartbreaking, honestly. And the reason I say that is because as a kid who grew up in a family where we loved talking politics and you revered people that served. Mm-hmm. Even growing up, like I was a kid and I was in a couple campaign ads for the governor of the state of Vermont who lived next to us. Yeah, Dick Snelling.
Okay.
And then he ran for Senate against Pat Leahy. And Pat Leahy's an institution in the Senate, and it was tough to beat Pat Leahy. I don't know why he ran against him. But either way, whatever. But you respected Pat Leahy at the time as a kid because you're like, man, that's a really big job and it's a big deal.
Right.
You know, it's really an important thing. And there were senators from other parts of the country. And, you know, no matter what you thought of them, you know, politically, you're like, wow, that means something.
Right.
And I worry now that we're in this world of show horses in Congress, which, by the way, both sides have been guilty of it. But the problem is here in New Mexico, we have someone who has decided she's going full show horse. And it's embarrassing to watch, especially when you're not good at being a show horse. Like, It's one thing if you're a good show horse. You're like, dang, that's a good show horse right there. AOC's a good show horse, right? She's a show horse. No question about it.
I'm not sure I'd like to say good.
No. I don't mean good on her political views or anything else. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being effective at being a show horse. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's not, I don't say that as a compliment. I just say it as a fact. Like, she's one of those people that is effective at doing that sort of thing. Okay. Matt Gaetz was good at it on the Republican side. He was an effective show horse. So in other words, you would have him show up, he'd throw out these comments and be all, you know, work his little thing, get his little viral moment, and then off he goes. Like, where's the important, you know, actual work you're doing for the people? Wow, we don't know where that is. That doesn't exist. Don't worry about that. But it's a good show horse. But we've got the problem now that we have somebody who's trying to be a show horse that just keeps falling off the horse.
Right.
And it's embarrassing. So we'll get into that. We're going to take the latest look at Deb Haaland's latest campaign effort. Which we're going to take a quick look at.
Can't wait.
We're going to get back into the Israel ceasefire. Real quick stuff there. Where are we on that whole deal? You're going to talk about a piece of programming that you loved.
Well, I thought it was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's worth, I always like to listen to, I listen to podcasts and I love when they recommend either books or shows to watch. I think that's kind of fun. So I always like, when I watch something or hear something, I always kind of throw it out and say, hey, let's tell people a little bit about it.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
Plus
so
it's a news topic.
Yes, and I have a new segment that I'm inserting into every show from now on.
No,
well, no, at least once. I shouldn't say that. Once a week.
No.
I'm doing it once. I'm sorry.
Once a month. I'll let you do it once a month.
No, I'm doing it once a week.
You know what, people? You write in. Tell us if you want this new segment once a month or every show.
Yep. No, I'm thinking once a week. And it's called...
You're gonna make me make like a graphic for it.
Yeah,
too.
we're gonna do a graphic and like, we'll do a little music with it. And it's called Mark's Game Cameras. What did Mark catch on the game cameras this week?
Oh my God. You know what the sound effect's gonna be?
What?
Me snoring.
Oh, stop. It's
sleeping.
very exciting. People are going to love this.
Are they, though?
We got some pretty good animals this week.
I understand. I get I was talking to a girlfriend of mine today, Jessica. She also watches a local game camera here in New Mexico.
Well, that's what this is. It's an angel fire.
And I was like, what are you and Mark should hang out and watch your game camera videos
We'll put
together.
it on and just drink it in.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's fantastic. No, Jessica's right.
I'm into the documentary stuff. I'm watching that. That's what we're going to talk about.
There's some incredible stuff. So we'll get into it.
Please write in and tell us, does Mark get to do this segment every month?
Well, hold on. Why don't you watch the segment? It's at the end of the show.
Or once a show.
Let's let the segment air and breathe first.
And what should we call it? Give a name.
Would you stop trying to snuff out the segment before it even starts? All right? All right, let's go with some viewer feedback.
Some comments that we got from the last show. Okay, Raccoon Little Bear said, another great show and a very brave guest, meaning Peyton McNabb. She was on our last show. So make sure if you guys want to listen in, you can check out our last show. President Trump made the right call on the airstrike. Nice to see Ella getting involved more in the show as well. Blessings to you all. Ella, a little shout out for Ella.
I never get shout outs, so I do appreciate it. I shout comments is what I'm saying.
Actually, you do get some shout outs.
So if people want to start leaving comments about me, I will read them.
Ella's
here we go. Once she gets a taste of the
she's like, I got to
taste of the love from the...
She's going to be over here sitting in our third seat.
Oh, absolutely.
Soon.
Just adding her little opinion in.
We're going to be hiring another producer here pretty soon.
Yes.
Okay. Harold M. said, Mark and Christy, you did an excellent job interviewing entertaining your guest, which again was Peyton McNabb. She was comfortable throughout the interview and answered all questions thoroughly. Great job on both parties. Kudos. Thanks, Harold. Yeah, she was
absolutely
great kid.
Yep.
And then Jennifer Huertas, I had to do this one. She actually wrote a really serious comment, but I just took this part of it because I thought it was so funny.
Okay.
Nice change up with the button down, Mark. Gives the impression that you're even more knowledgeable and trustworthy with a little smiley face.
Well, and
Jennifer, and then look at you today.
Yeah, I know.
Look at what you got going
Here's
today.
the problem. I didn't have time to shower or do anything. Threw the hat on, changed from a workout. Now I'm just here right now. I'm so sorry about that, Jennifer. And so the credibility, right back down again.
Right back down because you know.
I know.
I mean, I try to show up every day for our
No,
people.
like today you look like you're headed out on some sort of Greek cruise, which I'm loving it right now. It's a fantastic look
Here's
for
the
you.
thing about Mark and his comments. Like, did you just hear that one? I'm going on a Greek cruise. That's Mark's idea of a compliment, everybody. So, I mean, I'd like to be going on a Greek cruise. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I would think it'd be fabulous.
I like the
wasn't
look.
dressing to go on a Greek cruise.
I think you look
though.
very pretty today, babe.
Oh, okay. Thanks, guy. We do have to talk about compliments sometime with our folks because Mark gave me this compliment. He thinks it's a compliment, which was actually really funny on our trip. We visited Cape Cod a couple weeks ago, and I came out and I knew in my head when I was putting on this cream sweater and these like khaki pants, I'm like, Mark's gonna say, "Oh, she's got her Cape Cod outfit on." Like I knew what he was gonna say.
Yeah.
I come out literally. This is the first thing he comes out of his mouth. He's like, "Oh, look at you in your little Cape Cod outfit."
I thought you looked very nice.
Yeah, but that's not what you said.
Well, that's
You
what I
said-
meant.
You're like just like you have a title for all of my outfits.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of funny. But anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Very nice. You look great, babe. Enjoy the cruise. All right. Let's go ahead and start with Melanie Stansberry.
Yes,
Okay, she is getting some
legendary.
national attention. So I want to start with a little breakdown here. Now, this you probably remember from the State of the
Yes.
Union, or really it's not the State of the Union. It's the first one a president gives in its term. It's just kind of an update.
Right.
But either way, you can see Stansberry standing there with the sign saying this is not normal. Okay, performative politics. This has nothing to do with anything other than trying to troll and get attention. Right. And you see these sorts of things from her increasing in volume, in number, that she just regularly does these little things where she's just performative. And so, which is fine. There are people who do that. And there's, again, as I said before, there's some people who are good at it. She's not particularly good at it, but let's just listen to this one. She's on one of the Doge subcommittees, and she talked about what's going on with Elon Musk and decided to try to make a pop culture reference.
This is one of the most unpopular domestic and global policy agendas in modern history. And they're here trying to convince you all that we should make Doge permanent. But here's the thing. The GOP may continue to try to make Doge a thing, but no matter how hard they keep trying, GOP will never make Doge happen. Even with their Regina George out of the picture, that's Mr. Elon Musk in this scenario, Americans just aren't buying tickets to this show. And just like the movie business, House Republicans' Doge reboot isn't hitting like they thought it would.
Okay, I don't know that. I don't know that movie.
I
whatever.
do, but I still don't even
sure.
I that falls flat.
Right. Okay. So yeah, no question. Right. And I don't know about Mean Girls, whatever. But the point being in all this, trying to create some weird kind of, first of all, the whole Doge
And by the
thing
way,
about,
Mean Girls isn't like pop culture right now. It's like a 12-year-old movie or 15-year-old movie too. So
True. Yeah. No, true. But even beyond that, right? It's just you watch it and go, are you serious? Like, what are we doing? You go and print out some huge picture of a couple Hollywood actresses with some subtitle memes, whatever. Okay, and you're arguing against government accountability, whatever, too. Like, I don't even care about her point, but you just kind of watch it and go, okay, it's clownery. You're doing this more and more. It seems to be your thing. And she's got these people in her staff that I'm sure are telling her, this is it. People are loving this. They're loving what you're doing. Now, can you name one substantive thing that Melanie Stansberry has done for the people of the state of New Mexico? And the answer is no, you can't. Because this is all acting. This is play acting.
Well, and she also, keep in mind that she also came back to the state, did these town hall tours to tell everybody that Social Security was going to be cut and so is your Medicaid.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that to happen.
I mean, that's what she was doing as of a couple weeks ago. So
Right. No, absolutely. So we lay all this groundwork to say that it's happened again. So she decided that she's going to get some more attention. And I thought this was an AI generated picture, what I'm about to show you. I was like, oh, well, that's clearly AI. She didn't do this. This is dumb. She wouldn't do this. Let's take a look at the picture. Here it is. Now, it says, how do you rate the work of Elon Musk and Doge? Okay. And she goes, okay. Now, by the way, does not cite the sourcing on any of this, by the way. 67% disapprove, 38 approve, 5 don't know. Now, I am no mathematician. Okay. And believe me, I'm not even going to rip into the mistake. Put the picture back up, add the numbers.
Yeah.
It's 110%.
110%.
Okay. So she's wrong on the numbers.
Yeah.
Now, just so you know, in all of this, the staff for a congressional member is around 18 people. Just so you know, she is not working alone by herself in an office, coming up
Doing
with
her
these
little craft
things,
projects. Yeah.
sitting there gluing it on.
Yeah, no.
Get the glue stick out. Let's put the numbers on here, right? She's not doing that. She has a staff of 18 people roughly. Some of them are back in New Mexico, clearly, and then some are back in DC. My guess is you probably have 5, 6, 7 people with eyes on this.
Yeah.
None of them pick it up. Right, none of them get it.
It's
she
great.
doesn't even
Really
bother.
shows us the future of our people, because they're usually young people that are staffers.
Well, right. So you
it's
see
like,
it.
What does that say?
And you start at it, and you look at it, and you go, okay.
Common Core math, everybody. Common Core math.
Yeah, I mean, you would, and maybe that's the problem, right? So add all the columns up. Even if you add all them columns up, you come up with 110.
Right.
But anyway, so see, she looks at this, right, or clearly doesn't look at it, and I guarantee you, there's a staffer who got shredded for this. But if you're going to be a grandstander like this, and you're going to go in, you're going to put up this huge sign, you dang well better look at that number and add it up in your own head. And she didn't. Okay, it happens. So I'm still forgiving of this stuff because I make stupid mistakes all the time. And I think we need to be understanding of those sorts of things. Okay, but there's some media groups that got on our Mediaite, which is by no means a right-wing group. They said, watch, Democrat trots out placard in a House hearing with a glaring math error, promptly gets dunked on by Marjorie Taylor Greene. You'll hear that in just a second. And then Outkick, Clay Travis's group says, House Democrat Rep. Melanie Stansberry shows poll with an obvious error. Okay, so my biggest problem with this it's not the math. It's not the mistake. People make mistakes. And unfortunately, in this day and age, when you make a mistake, you get dunked on. That's how it happens. Okay, my problem is the way she handled being called out for it. And she was called out for it. And so I want you to listen to what she says, and then I'll get your reaction on how you think she handled it.
The poll behind you, behind our ranking member, it adds up to 110%. Just wanted to clarify. Is it meant to add up to 110%, or is that an error?
Do you yield?
Yeah, I do.
This is from a Quinnipiac poll that was held 2 weeks ago, and this is the data that was provided. There's a wealth of information, including information about Donald Trump's falling poll numbers, so you should take a look. Thanks.
I yield back.
The gentleman yields, and it still adds up to 110%. That's a fake poll right there.
That's Marjorie Taylor Greene adding in her little 2 cents.
course,
So
she's
thoughts?
Well, number one, what's the name of the poll again?
Quinnipiac.
Okay, and then
Quinnipiac. Yeah.
And so she doubles down
Right.
on it, which is an interesting move.
Right.
And then she's like, "Oh, and we all that same polling place, they also have information about Donald Trump's numbers. You should read them up, should we? Because clearly, if this is the poll numbers they gave you for this one, I'm not sure I'd be tweeting them a little bit. I would not be giving them a lot of coverage. So, again, it's like, why could she not? I just don't think it generated in her head fast enough. I think even when they called her out on 110%,
No idea.
she's like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I really feel like she was like, I'm all about this poll and everybody hates Doge and da-da-da-da. Like, I think that's what she was, like, that's where her mindset was at.
Yeah.
And she wasn't about to give that up for common sense. Like, just to be able to slow down and be like, okay, yeah, that actually is probably going to be 100%. Like,
Okay,
she could have made a joke about
No.
it.
Here's my opinion on that. I think you're right on maybe it didn't register or whatever else. But you're right on. There's only one way to handle that situation. And it is to be like, well, I put that in there so you guys, I'll see if you guys are paying attention. And you are. Now, let me just get rid of this poll and then go tear it up and make a joke out of it.
Right.
The only way to do that is to make a joke. You have to make a joke and then be like, yeah, got me there. Sorry. I mean, it's the only, show some humility.
Right.
Make a joke about it and then move on. But this is the problem. You've got a bad show horse, right? So then when the show horse gets called out in the middle of the dressage, and you're like, your dressage routine is not working out, show horse. And then the show horse melts down and just goes, oh, well, Donald Trump. You just watch it and go, There are literally people across this state who struggle to get to the end of the month. We have one of the most challenging healthcare systems in the country. We are last in education, and that's not ironic, Representative Stansberry. You're unfortunately a little emblematic of it. You see all those things and all the struggles people have in this state, and you're most concerned with creating as much of a viral moment as you can, as often as you can. And it's an embarrassment to the people you serve. And if I thought you had any sense of true core values about caring about the people you represent, I would think you'd pivot and say, I got to be better than this. There are a lot of people who grind it out every day, trusting that I will go to Washington, D.C. and fight for them in a meaningful way, not in a way where you show, Rachel McAdams on a board at a congressional hearing. I mean, not in a way that you put up numbers that don't even add up, not in a way that you stand and hold a sign next to the president. Nobody cares about any of that. Grow up and do a job, but now that's politics. It's now become this performative nightmare where nobody seems to care that there are people who genuinely need help and they're not getting it.
Yeah, she just appears to me to be trying to film like a reality show for Instagram. Like that's what it feels like. It feels like I want to create TikToks and Instagram reels, and this is the best way I know how to do it. And I have no idea who's giving her these great ideas. Like, I just feel like you come off completely unserious about major league issues. And it is, like, as you've listed, all the things that our state are really troubled with. It becomes a combination of just not only somebody who's just inadequate for the job, but she looks foolish and she's embarrassing our state. Like, that's an embarrassment. And she should be embarrassed. Like, she should say, I need to do better. I need to figure out how to be taking this job more seriously and not being a clown for the sake of Instagram and thinking I'm cute and I'm funny and look at me, I'm a big influencer and this will get me more votes and maybe more popularity in my state. And then I'll get more people to vote for my reelection. I mean, that's to me what she's focusing on is I want to be a name that people remember. And meanwhile, you don't want to be a name that people go, oh, she's a clown. Like she's equal to an absolute fool. She makes a fool out of herself. And I just think that we got to do better. And we got to do better in the people that we elect to go there. We need people that take this job seriously.
No, I agree. And you see it on both sides too. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was ripping into her, she does the same stuff.
I know.
Her clownery is ridiculous too. And so, that's why, and it hits closer to home because she's our representative here. And we see it and go, where are we here? You have such a gulf between the life that these people in Congress lead and the lives of the people on the ground in their districts. They just don't care. They see this as exactly what you said, as another way to influence. And not influence in a positive way where you make legislation which matters. You influence it in a meaningless way where you get on TikTok and you get the Yas Queen routine. Okay, congratulations. But there's still people that are struggling in your district that constantly give you their vote and they get nothing for it.
Yeah, it just feels like I'm in the high school student council or the middle school student council. What can I do to wow people today?
Yeah.
How can I, shake them up? I'm going to wear pink at all my events. I'm going to get my megaphone. I'm going to have a town hall meeting in front of whatever. She's tired and she looks like a kid.
Yeah.
She looks and she's acting like a child.
Okay.
And I'm over it. So
yeah. No.
hopefully
All right.
voters get over her too.
No, and by the way, if you're waiting for the Albuquerque Journal to do a story on this, because you're going to hear nothing. You're going to hear nothing from any of the television stations.
No.
Nothing.
Nobody's going to cover
Crickets.
this. Yeah.
Now, if you had this been a Republican stood up and done that, oh my gosh, it'd be everywhere.
Yeah.
A shocking error. How embarrassing is this? How did it happen? Let's check in with it. None of that will happen. None. And that's part of the problem, that there is no accountability for any of these legislators anymore. So they don't care. There is no shame because there is no accountability.
And again, if somebody just asked her right there and said, hey, so you're for fraud and abuse and waste in our program. Like, that's what you're sitting here promoting. Like, you and your sign, that's ridiculous. You still completely don't understand what the process of Doge was all about.
Well, yeah, that's another point that she pushed back though and say that's not the way to do it and everything else. But yeah. Okay. So
speaking of not a way to do it.
All right. So yeah. So I was finding stuff for the show and I found Deb Haaland visited Taos.
Oh, jeez.
And
I'm
so
sure she met with the people and she learned about what they needed to have done there and their real concerns.
She did, actually.
And I'm sure that she spent a lot of time talking to people about their issues, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, sort of. I mean, well, let's wait and see. So this is interesting. So let's listen to a little bit. It's a little over a minute. And we're going to listen to what Deb has to say about what her day was like, and then we'll react to it.
Good morning, New Mexico. Spend a day of my life with me in Taos. I started my day with young people and tribal leaders at Taos Pueblo. It wouldn't be a stop in Taos without a stop at Monty's Chow Cart. The red chili, beans, and a taco gave me the energy I needed to visit local businesses and meet with communities. I stopped at Rethread's Consignment, a local thrift store. I tried on a few different things, but settled on a dress, a sweater, and a summer jacket.
Oh, that's nice.
The team and I walked through the plaza and greeted New Mexicans, enjoying live music and enjoying the sunshine. Then I stopped by World Cup Coffee and met a local artist.
Oh, I like that.
Thanks to him, we discovered the Taos Artist Collective.
Little
New
hiccup there.
Mexico's
It's all right.
creative and entrepreneurial spirit holds up local economies, and I was proud to meet an artist I've been a fan of for years and discover new artists and their work. My trip was complete with a chance to hear from the Taos Valley Acequia Association.
A little bit of water.
I'm so
Okay.
grateful to them for the work
to
they
them.
do to
Okay,
protect
sorry,
our
little hiccup
water
there.
and continue our New Mexico traditions. I am home when I'm surrounded by people who have so much love for their community and culture. Taoseños and I ended our evening chatting about issues that affect our beautiful state. I'm so excited to continue hearing from more New Mexicans. Thank you
Okay,
so
she
much
says
for
goodbye.
spending-
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Is she running for governor, or is she trying to be a travel influencer? Because it's like travel influencers. They tell you where they ate for lunch. They tell you where they shop. They tell you where they go to get the best art. Like, that's a travel influencer or a blogger. That's not somebody who's running for governor seriously.
Yeah.
You never would like. And then we stopped in here and we did this, and I picked out a tie. By the way, and then I got
don't know.
myself.
Well, look, I didn't win either. So hold on. So I'm saying, okay. So I agree as a general rule. I think it's too soft. Okay,
That's an
I think it's too soft.
understatement.
Yeah, and it's not her strong suit. Isn't that sort of thing? So if you're her campaign staff, I think you've got to. First of all, it was pretty ham-fistedly produced.
Oh, it's
right?
terrible.
And you can find someone with all the money she's raising. You can find someone who can edit off their phone and do a better job of that work than what you saw.
Ella, our producer, could do that a better job.
Well, that's a good point, but Ella may sabotage her at a certain point, so that may not be great. But I think you can do a better job of the production value of it. But I will tell you, I think what she's trying to do, and get ready for this, her approach is going to be that connect on a cultural level and stay away from deep issues and deep dives and things like that. Now, if I were giving her advice, I'd say, okay, you need to put a little more meat in this, just a little bit, not a ton, because I think the overall point is connect culturally. That's what she's going to have to do. She cannot go out there and grind policy down. It's not her deal. So, but I was a little. I thought it was interesting. I mean, I watched it and just kind of went, "Holy macaroni!" Like I just was watching it.
Well, I mean, okay. So what's interesting is I had a conversation with somebody who listens to our show and said, they feel like we need more people that are running for office that talk about the great things of New Mexico instead of all the bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I
That's a
thought was
good
an
point.
interesting
Yeah.
point. Because
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
well, you do want somebody that sees the energy and the hope and the beauty and the future of New Mexico. But you also need to find somebody who takes our problems seriously and has real solutions to fix those problems. So I kind of was like, I see where you're going with this to this viewer.
Yep.
But I also said, I believe there can be a combination. We had plenty of great meals and had plenty of great, took in certain things, Pie Town, certain areas of the state that they wanted to show us what they did and how they celebrate being a special little spot of New Mexico. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But you also need to be meeting with people who are desperate for change and want real things to happen, and you need to be taking the job seriously. I just feel like she looks like a travel blogger. And I know she's trying to find connection, and we've talked about she's going to have a hard time connecting with people because she's not a great communicator.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. If you mess up that many times just in a voiceover, have her redo it. It was a minute long.
Well, so I'm sure that the thought process is on that. There's starting to be this new thing where you don't have to be perfect, right? And you can have a little thing in there because it's supposed to be real quick. But the problem is the nature of what they didn't end up looking real quick. They rolled B-roll over the top of it, things like that. So once you start doing those things, you're right, clean it up, right? Clean it up. Just you got to cut out her errors and things like that. And
You got to be more professional. You're going for a professional job. I mean, I'm sorry, but like at the end of the day, yes, you want people that can connect with you, but you feel that authenticity when you meet somebody. And when you either have that connectivity or you don't. And we've talked about that. Some people are just naturally gifted that can connect with people either across a camera, can connect with them on stage, can connect with them one-on-one with people.
Right.
You're either born with that gift or you're not. Now, it sometimes matters in elections and sometimes it doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see.
Right. Well, that's just what I mean. Like, you've got to keep her separated, right? You have to run a very, very disciplined campaign for her. And part of that is what you can watch on this video. Like, you just have some connection problems there, which, to your point. But at the same time, does this worry you then? As you watch something like this, does this, when you look for that campaign to say, does this make you think, okay, who knows really where we are in this governor's race? Because this is tough to watch.
To me, this would show me like all the.
If you're her people, are you scared right now watching that, or do you not care?
Oh no, they clearly don't care because they're producing this stuff. Like,
Right.
they're putting this stuff out there and they're showing money her way, and they're like, oh, look how she seems like a nice person. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, like, I get that there's some ability that you do need to find connection with people, and I'm sure she's been told that.
She's thrifting clothes, things like that. I think that's designed to.
Oh, I'm sure show that she's one of the people, that kind of thing, whatever. Okay,
Right.
But you either are one of the people or you're not. Like, I don't know if you need to video all that. I don't know. I just think that seems fake to me a little bit. It seems a little odd. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I do think what we need in anybody that's going to be running for governor, to me, when I look at something like that, I think she doesn't take this job seriously enough. Now, maybe it's wrong, but I think that
I don't know. He can have
even
those.
our current governor gets a lot of flack for all the travel she does and all these meetings that she has outside the state, right? So
Right.
she gets destroyed on X every time she's out of the state or out of the country.
Right.
This to me looks like, do you know what the job even entails to be governor? Like, I think fine. If you want to work some of this in on top of all your serious stuff, that you're managing things and you're talking to these people about water rights, you're talking to these people about logging rights, you're talking to these people about all the other issues, education issues. I just don't see that she's building up her credibility enough to be able to come in here and have, hey, I'm going shopping and eating some tacos. I don't think there's enough to balance that out yet.
All right. Well, this is one video too, so we don't want to judge everything on that. But yeah, no, I was a little. I think the quality of what needs to be put out needs to be a little better than what you're seeing there. And I think you better craft her image more tightly than they are. I will say that's my big takeaway from this. Craft her image more tightly if you want to be a serious candidate. Or our boy, Showboat Sam is going to eat her up. And then I'm going to look really stupid if Showboat Sam ends up getting the nomination for the Democrats.
Well, that will floor me as well. So
yeah, I don't think it'll happen.
You won't be alone.
I actually don't think it'll happen. But again, I've said that very clearly. It's not happening.
it's
But
not. Okay.
All right. So let's get to the ceasefire situation. All right. So there is a ceasefire in the Israel-Iran conflict, the 12-day war, as Trump's calling it now. So they get to this, and then Trump, heading to NATO a day ago, he was on the South Lawn and getting ready to hop on Marine One, and he got spicy. He got spicy because he was mad at Israel and he's mad at Iran for shooting at each other. He wants his ceasefire to hold, and so
it was moments after that he called for that. He said that the ceasefire was happening. They were both on board, and then Israel went after Iran, and Iran fired back.
Well,
and
yeah, this is the next morning. Yeah,
but he did get.
But he dropped his own bomb.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Donnie.
I mean, bleep. I just, I get that he's frustrated. I do understand it. And I'm sure that every president has had a truck driver mouth from time to time. I'm just not sure it was the best use to do that just on, television.
Well, that's definitely gotten some interest. But I will say overall, I think he likes the position he's in. CBS News came out with a new poll. There are 85% of Republicans, approve of what he's done. 94% of, quote, MAGA Republicans. I don't even know what that means.
I was going to say, how do you even determine if you're a Republican or a MAGA?
Well, you probably ask you, are you MAGA? And then they say yes or no. And so, the numbers are very strong with his own, with his own side on this. And so, we'll wait and see. But I think the interesting thing about this isn't necessarily Trump's reaction to the ceasefire, which, again, it looks like it's holding for now. So that's good. What's happened now is something I think is far more interesting. And you saw an article in the Wall Street Journal. New York Times put out something on it. So did CNN, breathlessly wanting so badly for something to go poorly. And they've latched onto this.
Yeah, it says U.S. strikes set back Iran nuclear program by a few months, initial report says. Preliminary classified intelligence report produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency counters White House's claim of more extensive damage. And basically, here's a quote from it. It says, a preliminary intelligence report found that the U.S. military strikes last weekend on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities only set back Tehran's nuclear ambitions by a few months, countering claims made by President Trump and the White House, according to people familiar with the intelligence. The initial findings, written by the Defense Intelligence Agency, relied on military damage assessments following the U.S. bombings, the people said, adding that the assessment could change as more intelligence is collected. A senior administration official confirmed the report's existence, but said it hadn't risen to the level of being shared with the Defense Department's top leaders. Several members of Congress, including full committees, have seen or have had access to the report, lawmakers said.
Okay, so just so you know, first of all, this is clearly leaked by somebody who wants to do some damage to what's happened here. Now the pushback on this has been swift, and this is, by the way, there will be a backtracking of this story. Guaranteed. And I'll explain why in just a second, but let's keep going.
So this quote says, U.S. intelligence agencies frequently produce classified reports that are later revised, sometimes substantially, as more information is collected. Such reports don't necessarily reflect the views of other spy agencies, and disagreement among the agencies isn't uncommon. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said in a post on X that the, quote, alleged assessment is flat out wrong, end quote, and described the report as classified at the top secret level. She blamed a, quote, anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community, end quote, for leaking the report to the media. CNN earlier reported on the assessment. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence, which oversees all intelligence agencies in the U.S. government, declined to comment. The Defense Intelligence Agency didn't respond to requests for comment. The report contradicts statements from Trump, who has repeatedly said that the targets of the raids were destroyed. Quote, those targets were obliterated, he said Tuesday morning.
Okay, so here's how CNN reported this when they got a hold of the information, and they were more than excited to think, oh my gosh, it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. Here's what they had to say.
That resulted from those U.S. military strikes on these 3 Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend. And as you said, it was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it is worth noting that it is a very early assessment. The strikes were only a matter of days ago, and the intelligence community is still gathering intelligence. They are still working to come up with a full, comprehensive picture of what exactly happened here. But based on...
So, by the way, they looked at it 24 hours after it was done. They have no one on the ground. They have no idea. This is ridiculous. Okay, it's clearly a cheap shot trying to take a shot at this. And by the way, they dropped 14 30,000-pound bombs down that shaft. So calm down. Like, I mean, there is no way you're gonna be like, oh, let's dig through this for a month and we're gonna it's all gonna be there. It's gonna be great. That's ludicrous. Of course not. And by the way, on the other portion of this, where's all the uranium? You don't think the Israelis know where the uranium is? The Israelis know what the Ayatollah is doing before the Ayatollah does. Do you think they don't know where the uranium is? They do. They know where the uranium is, guaranteed. Okay, so, and I guarantee you we know where the uranium is. Okay, and I guarantee we dropped bombs on it or sealed it off or whatever it is. But anyway, the point on this is ridiculous, okay? It's 24 hours after you look at it and go, a couple months and they're going to be able to rebuild. What are you talking about? Like, you don't have anybody on the ground. You don't have any clue, okay? So Pete Hegseth, today on Wednesday, he stood up after the NATO summit with the president and started pushing back on all of this. And again, this is one of those stories that will be pulled off the table, and it will be not spoken of again once they figure out that it's completely and totally garbage. There is no way you're dropping those kind of ordinance on something and like, no problem at all. That didn't do anything. Yeah. That's not true. And here's what Hegseth had to say.
To introduce. And when they introduced that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, do you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12, 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel and go really deep, because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. And somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to say, oh, with low confidence, we think maybe it's moderate. Those that dropped the bombs precisely in the right place know exactly what happened when that exploded. And you know who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
Okay, interesting. And I think he makes a fair point, especially on the Iranians as well. It's ridiculous. Like, this is a ridiculous leak, but it is eating up a lot of oxygen.
Oh, yeah. People want to talk about it. And another thing that people are kind of, really interested in right now, so far there's been 11 Iranians that were here illegally that have now been arrested over the past few days and are set to be deported. And one of them is an Iranian sniper. So let's take a listen to this.
The Department of Homeland Security says Yusuf Meridano had been living in the United States illegally for nearly 8 years, since U.S. officials determined he lied on a visa application. On Sunday, just 4 months after the Iranian foreign national was added to the U.S.'s known or suspected terrorist list, he was arrested in central Mississippi. He's now in ICE custody pending removal proceedings, and he's not alone. Over the past 48 hours, ICE officials have arrested 11 Iranian nationals spanning 8 states nationwide. Among them, 5 possessed previous criminal convictions, their crimes ranging from grand larceny to drug and firearm possessions. Also among those apprehended, Ribbar Karimi. While arresting him in northern Alabama, ICE officials say they found his Islamic Republic of Iran Army identification card and allege he served as an Iranian sniper between 2018 and 2021.
Okay. I think that's the biggest concern the government has. It isn't necessarily with Iran firing missiles back at any of our bases or anything like that. I think their ability to do that has been significantly degraded. It is sleeper cells in the United States, which there's no real understanding of what's going on with that, other than nothing's happened yet. Hopefully it won't. But there's no question they're trying to nail that sort of thing down and go after it.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that asked after our last show, what do we think's going? Do we think the Iranian leadership is going to actually have this big call out against the United States? And obviously, we don't know that. We think that'd be pretty foolish based on that'd be
a rough. I think I would think you're seeing a lot of those pathways between Tehran and some of their proxies and some of their sleeper cells or whatever they are. There's a loose connection as it is by the nature of what a sleeper cell is. And then I think you're going to see the Ayatollah, I think, would put himself in grave danger by making some sort of call out for anything like that. So who knows what's really going on
grave
here.
Danger?
Is there any other kind?
We love A Few Good Men. So if you haven't seen it, you need to watch.
So we'll see what happens with it. I think it's the biggest concern I think most people have is homeland attacks.
Right.
At this point has not happened. Now, if you can get a deal between the Israelis and the Iranians, can you maybe stop that sort of thing? I don't know, but that is one of the things that's a lot of different things on a lot of different levels are happening here, and so we'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, let's hope for the best, pray for the best. Okay, so something just kind of entertaining and a little bit lighter maybe in your life. Yeah. When we were in Boston, the verdict came down for Karen Reed. She is a former college professor that was accused of killing her boyfriend, who was a Boston cop. And the verdict came down when we were in Boston, so it was a big deal there. It was all over the newspapers, all that. And, you and I watched a little snippet and we were like, oh, okay, like a little news clip on 60 Minutes or something. I don't remember what it was. And we were like, she's guilty. And so we came back, and when I was talking to my friend Debbie about it, and Debbie's like, oh my gosh, Krista, you have to at least watch this documentary that's on Max right now.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I really don't. The lady's guilty. And she said, no, just do yourself a solid. It's such a well thought out documentary. I watched the thing in 2 days.
Okay.
It's riveting.
Yeah.
It is so well put together. It's 5 parts. If you're looking for something interesting, they just did a good job of diving right in. They interviewed all the media that were there, as well as they had direct access to Karen Reed and her attorneys. It was just interesting, I guess, to listen to. And
right. And so the documentary is about her first trial.
Her first trial, which ends, it ends in a mistrial, which that's no mystery. Everybody knows her case. That was like over a year ago.
Right.
They do give an update at the end of the documentary, but my understanding is there's another documentary on Hulu that's covering it in real time with this second trial.
Okay, and the second trial is the one where she was found not guilty.
Not guilty. Which she was acquitted on that, and that kind of made national news. I mean, it was everywhere. They really built this big PR machine around her. I mean, I've never,
it's unreal.
Since like the OJ trial, I'm sure there's been other ones, but the OJ one trial comes to mind because it was also televised. You could also watch it, and there was people that stood outside the courtroom. She had a lot of fan base that showed up to support her.
Sure did.
And meanwhile, we don't really know anything about the case over here, and we just show up in Boston, and everybody's talking about Karen Reed. And I was like, yeah, I saw a preview, but I was like, I just kind of skimmed over it. It's a fascinating story.
And you now think what? She did it or she didn't? Just break it down.
I gotta say that, like, I don't know if she did it. I really was convinced that she had done it.
This sounds like making a murderer. It just sounds like if they put it together in a certain way, it can make you believe whatever they want.
Okay, good point. I mean, this is what I said to my friend Debbie. I said Occam's razor, right? Like all the facts point to her.
Right.
Who else would want to kill the guy?
Right.
I don't think she did it on purpose. I think it was an accident.
Okay.
But that could be still where I'm landing. But I will say that there are markings on his body that have nothing to do with a car. That have more to do with like a dog that was in that house that night. And there was police officers in the house that he died in in the front lawn when they found him. What stood out to me in this one little thing, it's not giving anything away, but the cop that owns the house where this other cop was found dead in the front yard, when everybody showed up, the ambulance, all the police, everybody, Karen Reed was there with all her people. They're screaming, they're yelling, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he okay? All this ruckus. That police officer that threw that party the night before stayed inside of his house. He knew the guy, he was friends with the guy, and he never came out to check on his friend or to check on the case. Yeah. To me, that was weird. So I'm saying,
I don't even know what you're talking about, but
you haven't watched it.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, if you like court drama, or even if you don't like court drama and you just like a good story, it's fascinating.
Okay,
so check it out.
Well, good. Well, thank you for the update. You always have good suggestions, I will say.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, now it's time for the important segment, which is my game camera segment. So I want to start. 2 days ago, I had some rain the night before up in the mountains, and these cameras are all in Angel Fire at about 10,500 feet or so, way up high in the mountains. And so early morning, and my good friend, look at this big fella.
Have you named them yet?
I have not. This is the big, I think this is the big male, the big male bear that kind of is around the area here. There's a hiking trail.
Very misty.
Very misty. And he just kind of walks across and he kind of lumbers into the woods. Mm-hmm. And so he gets that done. Now, he's not the only bear that we have there. There's also another guy. Now, this guy's younger. This guy, I think, is about 2 years old, and you can see his coloring's a little bit different. See him taking a rock? I think he's just taking a rock there, open up, trying to get some grub worms or something out of there. And then he looked and said, there's nothing, so he's going to go walking off. So he looks pretty healthy, though.
Yeah, he doesn't look tiny. Good. I don't want to see him on the hiking trail.
No, okay? I totally get it. But again, these guys, you never see them in the same place. Now I did see the second bear with his mom about 6 months ago. They were all together, but now they're apart now. I think she's kicked them out.
She's like, listen,
all out? You're out,
you
sir.
showed me a clip of one of these, and there was 4 bears all together.
I've got all kinds of stuff.
Holy cow.
You're right. I probably should do a greatest hits version of my trail cams, but this is just this week. Oh, this is all just this week. All right. Wile E. Coyote, he's out. He was walking down. See, there he is. He's walking away from the camera.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what he's doing in the pond here, the little thing here. I'm not sure if he's relieving himself right there or something. I can't really tell.
Riveting.
Well, I just want to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
And then one more. This is a good-looking young bull elk, which this camera's a little further out, so I have to hike a ways to get it. But this is after a little hailstorm.
Yeah.
So you can see the hail on the ground there, and he's a good-looking bull elk. You can see the rack on him growing in there, looking good.
Yeah.
And he's just like, all right, there I go, and he walks on by.
He stopped to pose a little bit for you.
He did, and I appreciate it. So, again, I got a lot going on with these cameras. I'm going to continue to monitor them, and as we get more stuff in, I'm going to keep showing you. And if I get enough good stuff, I'll do it every show. I'll do it.
Oh, gosh.
I will do it.
Please. Okay, people write in. Do you want to see game camera clips every show, or
Yeah,
maybe once
you
a
do.
month,
You do.
or like maybe once every 6 months?
Yeah, nope. Every show, every day. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We will be back with you on Sunday. More details on what's to come with that. Be very exciting.
It always is.
Yes.
Never dull here at No Doubt About It. Please sign up for our emails on our website at nodoubtaboutitpodcast.com and hit that subscribe and like button and tell all your friends. We appreciate it. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your week.
You've been listening to the No Doubt About It podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at No Doubt About It Podcast.
No doubt about it.
The No Doubt About It podcast is a Choose Adventure Media production. See you next time on No Doubt About It.
There is no doubt about it.